So, as a Cancer man, Cancer Sun and Rising, I am grieving the possibility of a world where men can share their emotional vulnerabilities with the women in their lives and not be seen differently after they do it. Many of our experiences, and ask all the men in your life, no matter what is happening, we are not given the same room, the same space that others are given when we are dealing with emotional pain or extreme emotions of any kind. And I think as a result of that, my perspective on things, it's shifting. And I don't know if that's a good thing. Because as a person with, the perspective of possibility, that all things are possible, to grieve the possibility that men can at some point experience the level of free vulnerability that human beings deserve, really puts me in a space where it's like the only people that really can see men as I am or as we are, without it warping the way we are seen, is those who exist outside of the veil of flesh. Those who exist in the unseen, the ancestors, the spirits, because not only have they lived lives, but they also do not operate from a space of ego. And so, I put my energy there. I put my energy with the unseen. And I think in addition to that, because I have this challenge that I have discovered about myself, Gate 4 in the Ajna, in Mercury, in the 4th line, it's the only gate that I have in my design that is outside of my single definition. Therefore, is really the only major challenge of my life. And it has been a challenge. I've spoken about it before. But I think at this point where I am, the finger can be pointed at others because I don't feel understood and all of these different things. But at the end of the day, it's a timing thing. It's a matter of, have I waited and been patient enough to not have to have an answer for everything, to not have to try to make sense, logical sense of everything before it's time, to allow the understanding to dawn on me outside of active thinking and trying to figure it out with my mind. There is a certain level of what's the word? Pretense that people with this placement can have because because we are able to come up with answers for anything and answers that make logical sense. But that doesn't mean that the answer is the truth. And because we're able, it's easy for us to rattle off, boom, here's the answer. But that answer may not necessarily be what the person, or even I myself as the one giving the answer, needs. And I think that it becomes a thing because there is a certain level of pressure that Gate 4 receives. Not just from Gate 63, but from anyone who has mental definition. There is pressure there. There is pressure to answer, to answer, to answer, to answer, to answer. And if you don't recognize that pressure, if you don't recognize what you are allowing as a person with Gate 4 in the channel of logic, without Gate 63 active, or even with Gate 63 active from the other person, that Gate 4, it can become the focal point. It can become the barrier. It can become a false sense of enlightenment. It can become this feeling, this thought, rather, that it's the other person that's not understanding. It's the other person that doesn't get what I'm saying. And that's possible, but at the end of the day, it's not about whether they're getting it or not. It's about whether the timing is right. Because the timing solves two problems. It solves the problem of the person who is giving the answer, because he or she may be giving the answer prematurely before the mind has had its ability to process and compute all of the facts, all of the patterns, all of the information, all of the doubts. And it also can be the same for the other person, that timing, because the other person has to be ready to receive the true answer for all of the questions, all of the logic, all of the doubts. And when the other person is ready and the speaker is ready, it's a different kind of experience. It's a different kind of experience. Today, I am committing to myself never to speak unless I have given myself enough time to listen for the answers, not to figure out the answers, to listen for the answers. And if the people in my life are not ready to wait for the answers, then they don't belong in my life. And that makes me sad. But one thing that I know is that as I began this video as a Cancer man, I don't want this possibility of a world where men can express themselves without being seen as weak, to disappear, to die. Because I do think that it is possible. I know it is possible. Anything is possible. It is simply a matter of what men protect. No one will respect what men will not protect. And if we don't protect our right as human beings to express how we feel without being seen as less than human beings, because men have societally and generally been seen as those who are invulnerable. Masculinity has been programmed into us as being invulnerable, or unable to be penetrated, unable to be weak. It helps to a degree because someone has to protect the house, someone has to protect the home. If someone comes in to rob the home, both the man and the woman cannot be so fearful that they don't move. And this is why men are expected to push down how they feel for a moment and act. It has become an epidemic in our society that we have done this so much, we have programmed ourselves so much on a collective scale in this way that we push down the feelings at times when we don't need to push down the feelings. We push down the feelings so much that our women expect us to push down the feelings at all times. This is not healthy. This is not right. So, I'm still learning. I won't stop learning, but this is where I'm at when it comes to this part of me. Yeah. Hope that helps. Talk to you soon.